Hello, I'm Maciej, Mikos, and you're watching World News live from Warsaw. As the corruption scandal in Ukraine is widening, the country's justice minister has been suspended in his duties, while the energy minister just announced on social media she was resigning from her post. Power outages in Kyiv highlight both Russian attacks on energy infrastructure and Ukraine's failure to fortify critical sites, partly due to corruption within Energoatom. That's according to Daria Kareniuk, co-founder of the International Center for Ukrainian Victory.
I'm now in Kyiv and I don't have electricity. Electricity cuts are happening every day. And basically, one of the reasons, a clear reason, is that Russians are attacking our critical energy infrastructure. But another reason is that Ukrainian critical energy infrastructure was not prepared properly for these attacks. The defensive construction sites were not built on time. And one of the reasons is that there was this organized crime group working and influencing the critical energy infrastructure company Energoatom and embezzling the funds. So, and people of Ukraine are watching all of that. They are very angry. They expect President Zelensky to react straightforwardly. It's not enough to have 30 seconds message to the people of Ukraine, which he recorded 2 days ago, that he said we are waiting for the court verdicts. We can wait for the court verdicts for years. But now it is important for Zelensky to basically avoid covering up his inner circle and let anti-corruption bodies to complete their jobs. And those who are suspect in large-scale graft and corruption must be dismissed immediately from their important top governmental positions.
5 people were wounded after Russian Shahed drones struck Kharkiv city center on Wednesday. Ukraine's second-largest city suffers regular attacks as it is located only 30 kilometers from the border with Russia.
At least 5 people have been wounded in an overnight Russian drone attack on central Kharkiv. 4 of them have been hospitalized. The attack sparked fires in the city center and damaged residential buildings and a warehouse belonging to a private logistics company.
Someone shouted that there was an air raid alert. Everyone to the shelter. So we all went in. That's why no one was injured. Everyone's fine. But the warehouse was bombed. There are people who have gone through this for the second time in just a few months. So yes, everyone was scared. The warehouse and office buildings are destroyed. The cargo we were transporting for our clients, as well as warehouse and office equipment, are damaged. The vehicles and all communications were also hit.
The explosions occurred after 9 a.m. Preliminary reports indicate that the city was attacked by 3 Geran-2 drones. Ukraine's State Emergency Service reports that 35 rescuers and 7 units of equipment were involved in the rescue operation.
German police investigators have linked the sabotage of the Nord Stream pipelines to the former commander-in-chief of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, Valerii Zaluzhnyi, according to the Wall Street Journal.
Well, German investigators claim that the facts paint a, quote, clear picture that the Nord Stream pipeline explosions were carried out by an elite Ukrainian military unit, acting under the authority of Kyiv's former military chief, Valerii Zaluzhnyi, now Ukraine's ambassador to the UK. Germany has been looking into the case for nearly 3 years after 3 of the 4 gas pipelines connecting Russia and Germany were damaged and rendered inoperable in September of 2022, several months after the outbreak of the Russian full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Initially, Russia had been the main suspect, but this summer, German prosecutors issued international arrest warrants for 2 Ukrainians suspected of being involved in the sabotage case. First, Serhiy Kuznetsov was detained in Italy, and later, Volodymyr Żurawliow was detained in Poland. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk made it instantly clear that he would not support extraditing Żurawliow to Germany.
Europe's problem, Ukraine's problem, the problem of Lithuania and Poland is not that Nord Stream 2 was blown up, but that it was built. Russia, with money from some European countries, German companies and Dutch companies, built Nord Stream 2 against the vital interests not only of our countries, but of all of Europe. It is not in the interest of Poland nor in the interest of decency and justice to prosecute or extradite this citizen to another state. The decision will rest with the court, but our position here is clear.
His position was mirrored in a Warsaw court days later. The judge ruled against Mr. Żurawliow's extradition, arguing that as Ukraine was at war with Russia, such an attack could not be considered sabotage, but rather as legitimate self-defense. In Italy, by stark contrast, a court in Bologna last month approved Serhiy Kuznetsov extradition in a closed hearing. Kuznetsov, a former military officer, had been on a 10-day hunger strike and is currently appealing his ruling for a second time. He also accuses Italian authorities of deliberately mistreating him in order to force a confession. The Wall Street Journal said that if the case goes to trial, Berlin could find itself prosecuting members of the same nation that is simultaneously arming against Russia, a move that also risks undermining Europe's unity on Ukraine.
Czech railway company RegioJet is determined to enter the Polish railway market, but PKP Intercity, Poland's largest Polish rail operator, appears to be doing everything to ensure RegioJet doesn't feel welcome, to the extent that even the European Commission might have to get involved.
A David versus Goliath style fight is brewing on Polish rail tracks. The challenger, a Czech company called RegioJet, is throwing down the gauntlet at the incumbent PKP Intercity. RegioJet wants to start a regular service in Poland in December, but says it's facing significant resistance and plans to take its complaints straight to Brussels.
We consider the behavior of PKP Intercity unlawful and a violation of fair competition rules. Because of that, we will file a petition with the European Commission.
The Czech company says it's facing numerous problems in Poland, including delays in acquiring PKP real estate put up for sale, obstacles in putting up adverts in railway stations, difficulties in hiring PKP staff, and discrimination in access to the track network. PKP Intercity on its part says it's playing by the book. But adding to the controversy, in August, the company notified the Polish Internal Security Agency about a private message sent by RegioJet founder Radim Janczura to PKP Intercity CEO Janusz Malinowski.
Long-distance rail remains the sole exception in Poland, otherwise a very competitive market. Any attempt to block RegioJet will backfire. The public, the media, but also politicians will be on our side. You can delay us, but in the end our trains will run.
PKP PLK, the Polish infrastructure operator, says complaints about track access stem from planned works on a line that connects Warsaw and Krakow. But this leaves other complaints unanswered. One thing is sure, David is eager to fight.
The number of Poles supporting same-sex relationships is growing, and more than 60% of them would like to see the legalization of such partnerships. The latest survey for Dziennik Gazeta Prawna shows.
The majority of Poles support the legalization of same-sex civil unions, a new poll has found. The findings come as the government prepares to submit a bill on civil partnerships by the end of the year. A new CBOS survey for the Polish daily newspaper Dziennik Gazeta Prawna has shown that 62.1% of Poles support the legalization of same-sex civil partnerships, while 35.1% oppose any changes in this area. Among those in favour, 30.6% believe that people in such relationships should have the same rights as married couples, while 31.5% support the introduction of civil partnerships, but with limited rights. The issue of legal partnerships has divided Polish society for years. Nearly 1 million people live in unmarried relationships. Yet, successive Conservative governments have blocked efforts to extend legal protections to same-sex and cohabiting heterosexual couples, framing such legislation as a threat to traditional family values. The government of centrist Prime Minister Donald Tusk proposed a law in mid-October that would allow unmarried couples, including same-sex partners, to enter a so-called closest person agreement, granting them a number of joint rights.
And that's all for now. Thank you for watching. World Talks with Ashim Kumar is coming up next.